welcome back to the latest episode. Today we're talking about shade communication and the latest challenges in the digital dentistry about shades. Hey Tarek, so good morning.
Hey.
I see you the other day you were talking about, this case that you had to repeat multiple times because of a shade challenge. How was your experience just dealing with that case? Can we talk a little bit about
Yes, definitely yes. And I think that immediately will also trigger a lot of questions with our audience who's looking the dentist who daily experience a problem with the shade. Fact is that we are still using. When this shade guide was first introduced?
I'm pretty sure I wasn't even born back then.
yeah, I guess neither me. So that really dates back. Vita
Really?
was so advanced back in 1927 when they introduced 27. Basically, they had this great idea of bringing up some tool to communicate between the dentist and the lab to fix a shade, to say, okay, the shade is like that. So we have this challenge as long as we can think back to eventually dentistry and dental technique.
Wow.
And we need to accept that there is limitations, and I'm going to show you a few examples what are the limitations and how fast the perception can basically be completely misguided. So have a look at some examples that I'm showing you. In our daily work, we have understood the main challenge, more than the color, the hue of the teeth, is the lightness and darkness, the value of the teeth. Easy to understand the effect of a shadow on the behavior of the color, the lightness and darkness is this white paper when we project one shadow on it, and the same thing will happen also to the teeth. There are certain gray cards available. The challenge with the gray card is that it helps, of course, to do a white balance, but since they are not calibrated to that extent required to have a complete, reliable white balance done, you can see here on the image there is a fluctuation between the gray on the gray card. So even a gray card has kept some limitations for us to work with, but nevertheless it was already a big step forward using a gray card on the photo to allow the user, the dental lab, to do a white balance and correct the shade and the features on the photo. The white balance card shown in the center, introduced from the eLAB community by Sasha Hein and his team, is the definitely most advanced as per today in the market. This photo has a few features allowing to explain the use of the gray card in the background as a white balance, to have a cheek retractor to avoid the lip creating a shadow on the teeth, the use of a variety of shade tabs that can help the technician to identify the actual matching shade and values, chroma in the tooth, or external effects visible on the tooth. That's why these photos are very useful for the technician. Turning the shade tab so the incisal is pointing to the incisal gives additional advantages, so we don't keep the neck of the shade tab towards the incisal of the tooth. Rotation of the tab, incisal towards the incisal. Value shade tab is mostly some shade tab C1, C2, C3 or C4 that helps to guide the technician what is the actual value of the tooth, because that is really what the eye accepts or not accepts, if the value is matching or not matching. A slight tolerance between the color is definitely acceptable. This photo demonstrates another feature very important for us in the lab. We need to understand what is the stump shade. With the material becoming more and more aesthetic, more and more translucent, the background shade, the stump shade, matters very much to meet the final shade. So he always try to give us the stump shade. Very important that we don't have any reflections that really cover the entire tooth. A small spot is fine, but there should not be the entire surface with reflection of light. This photo is basically the future alive, the new way of shade communication, where you don't even need a shade tab anymore. Polarized photo with some particulars that we are going to make one more episode how to take such photos for the eLAB procedure. A white balance card with the eLAB values to do a proper white balance calibration, and then the technician can go by metrics and mix the shade of the tooth as evaluated and captured from these photos. So no shade tabs for the future.
But I have a question, Tarek. So let's understand. These guys who made in 1927, they've been like a really good friend to the clinicians and to the labs. Does the material still stand to be the correct material for the future use of shade communication?
Well, you touching a very, very sensitive part. Now, of course, this is where you say 1927, and definitely there was a lot of development and a lot of things happening over these decades, and certainly the ceramics used been upgraded and very close to what now, for example, Vita company is giving as their ceramic kits. One thing needs to be understood, that if somebody is using says my ceramic system is based on the Vita Classic, does not mean that you use now the Vita Classic powders. By now there is so many systems in the market, so many companies, amazing companies coming with great metal ceramic systems, with metal-free ceramic systems. So
that's a myth buster, actually.
Yes,
hey guys, so let's rewind that. We need to understand a small community of the customers. I speak to them a lot of times. Think because they're communicating the shade with the Vita classical guide that we're actually using Vita powders. I don't think that happens in most labs today. Today, there are more competitive products out there. So how do we still make sure that the material guide that we're using is consistent with the products in the back end, so the protocols remains the same?
Yes, so the best way is, and here Mr. Jim Glidewell had an amazing idea, what sometimes you think actually a very simple idea, but changes the face of the world, changes the face of shade communication when you suddenly overcome and you say, now, by the way, so metal ceramic is at the merge of fading out, it's taking off track, and we are on a very fast track with metal-free restorations. In particular, BruxZir has received its reputation because it's an outstanding product that it is. Now, Mr. Glidewell was so smart to just say, guys, so if we are using zirconia and if you want to communicate the shade based on your zirconia restorations, we have a communication tool where the shade tab, the material, is made out of zirconia. So the nearest possible to the material that you're finally selecting.
That's simple, and that makes so much sense, because you'll always have the problem of value and hue and the match in terms of translucency of the material, because let's face it, for most products that we use all over the years, this is purely ceramic. It's not packed with metal to have the right bounce of light.
You're hitting the nail on the head. Exactly.
And here we're going to have a metal-free product with metal-free shade guides, which are actually the same material. And that solves the problem. I believe this would really change the shade communication for those that are using the analog methods, but definitely that's not the future, is it?
Yes, no, and again, you're already opening the next page of a big chapter where science fiction becomes facts and reality, where you are able to meter the shade with a new system where you don't depend anymore on the analog shade communication tools, but just on a photography where you have
Wow.
a measuring tool where you can calibrate your photography, um, measure the shade in a metering system where you use the algorithm and artificial intelligence where really shade matching becomes a digital mode of success where you don't depend on light properties, the perception of the person who takes the shape. So definitely the new benchmark will be digital shade communication. eLAB is what we are coming up with in our next
Right.
episode.
Sasha Hein is a genius, isn't
Yes,
he?
amazing system. What he offered to the
And the
dental
community as a
community
whole.
is
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, for our viewers, let me translate that for you a little bit. You can imagine yourself looking in a digital mirror, not having to go by a meter scale to tell what is your shirt size, and do a trial, a digital trial of the clothes you want. Now just imagine this, if you could do a digital trial of a shade without having to communicate with photos of a shade tab, or for that matter writing down the shade, this is what we're talking about. Digital shade communication with the software eLAB, the protocol, is going to change the way dentistry thinks about the expectations of aesthetics, the expectations of shade matching on the prosthetics. I think it's more like a revolutionary product that is already in the market, just needs to penetrate to the right doors. The ones who want to take up good aesthetic dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, it's a fantastic tool, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's basically spot on. The lab will make sure the shade is matching the actual shade in the mouth before sending the case to the doctor. So it is, you get the case, the dentist gets the case, puts it in the mouth, it's spot on, delivers it and send it off. There is no chance, no excuse for something going badly off the way. There is like this delta arrow. So it will be within the delta arrow as a mild deviation, but not to detect by the eye.
Yeah,
like
it's just going to slip by the eye to say it's so good a match. But tell me something, Tarek. Will we really see a product coming out of this?
Yes.
Do you already have this protocol?
Yes, Parth, we have it. No, at Illusion we have it. And we will be the first who comes up offering you the possibility that you can get into the clinic. You just need a minimum equipment of photography, very simple, a DSLR. You need a polarization flash and a simple photography protocol. We are coming up to introduce you to it. You will be amazed. So those who want to be ahead of the competition can just use the eLAB. We are there at your site, the first lab in India who comes up with the eLAB protocol.
It's going to shake the expectations of the patient, shake the expectations of the customers. I can really imagine. I'm so excited to try this out. So if you can tell us a little bit about this lifetime warranty, is that how you're basing this product?
Yes, when you get more and more clear about the outcomes, you get confident. Yeah, it's amazing, So you get more confidence there. Like, it's not guessing work. You go now more and more with the metering, the property. So you can depend on your product. It's not like saying, oh, maybe it works, maybe it does not work. So then we can go forward and say, we can give you a lifetime warranty on the product.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard sometimes, I think, for technicians like myself to actually tell the customer and promise saying, what you see in the patient's mouth is exactly what you can expect as long as the protocol is followed to the nail. So if you want to talk a little bit about it, our next episode is going to be based on this eLAB software. Exactly. What can we expect?
We can expect to understand how it works, that you can basically give off the analog tools and just go trust the digital way with a simple photo protocol where it comes from the clinic, and what we are doing, how we are solving the whole challenge in the lab.
Super. Looking forward. Thank you.